Hi guys, Charles here. I would like to talk about the fifth seal in the book of Revelation. Now, the fifth seal is in chapter 9. There's two parts. The first part is the fifth seal, and the second part is the sixth seal. And I want to concentrate on the fifth seal. Now, these are images that are weird and bizarre, and it's to put it all together really don't make no sense that I've ever heard. But this is something that I think makes a lot of sense. Now, John, he came all the way from the past to the future, so he's going to relate everything he sees to the past, and that's why he uses terminology like scorpions and crowns of gold and women's hair and chariots and stuff like that. That's why he uses such terminology, because he relates whatever he's seeing. He's either seen all these different things, or it's one thing that looks like all these things. And I believe that all the things he sees represents one object. And this is going to be the object is a missile. First, he says, is like a lion's tooth. Now, a lion's tooth, if you take it out of a lion's mouth and turn it around, the tooth looks like a white missile. A missile, the lion's teeth, and they're all lined up just like missiles are lined up in a lot of these rocket launchers that they have, and they line them up too in a row, and they look like a lion's tooth. So that's his terminology. It looks like a lion's mouth. They don't say a lion, a lion's mouth, but you're speaking of the teeth of the mouth of the lion. And then he said he's seen as women's hair. Women's hair is wavy, brown. You know, and if a rocket was fired out of Iran in the desert, I've seen pictures, it looks like women's hair, wavy hair coming down from the missile, just, you know, and it spreads out and gets like women's hair. It comes down, and it looks wavy like women's hair. Now, he's seen one of the missiles that was laying on the ground, and it was broken in half. And when he walked over, he looked, and he's seen the broken in half missile, and he's seen it had breastplates of iron, like breastplates of iron. It's surrounded with iron. The innards are to protect the C4 or whatever stuff they use in the rocket fuel and stuff. And then he said like a scorpion's tail. A scorpion's tail is when it took off from the desert and went up in the air, it hooked down just like a scorpion's tail, and it was shot out of the sky by the Iron Dome. So it didn't reach the ground. It shot it off up above the ground. So that looked like a scorpion's tail. Now, the hard part in thinking about this, well, how can it? Well, the crowns of gold is easy, because their most toughest ballistic missiles have crowns of gold painted on the tops of them. The top is painted, it looks like gold, but it's, you know, paint. But the hardest one to really figure out, well, there's two parts, it's kind of tough, is faces of men. Now, that one took a while to it to come to me. How would it be like a face of a man? Don't make no sense. How can a rocket look like the face of a man? Now, in Iran, they built these really deep underground caverns, and on the side of the missiles was holograms on their big missiles, and it was the faces of martyrs, which was the face of a man. They had 100 lined up in a row, and then they had a portrait of one on an easel. And it had this martyr, that was his brigades of missiles, and on the lead missile, he had a hologram of his face on that missile. So it had a face of a man on it. What's the odds of all these fitting together? You know, it don't make no sense, all the other stuff. I ain't gonna go through what everybody else believes, but every one of these will match a missile. Now, another hard part is that men will seek death, but death will flee from them. Now, I saw in Israel, when they were being bombed by all the missiles, a lady came out from her bunker, and she said, "I wish I was dead." Same in World War II, when they dropped all the missiles, or the bombs on, and they were in their bunkers. They wished they were dead because of all the horrific, you know, you're facing death here, and it's traumatizing to people and stuff. So they hid in their bunkers, and the missiles are flying, and they wish they could die, but death fleed from them, because they're not going to kill themselves. You know, like you can just cut your head off and you don't die. That don't make no sense. It's supposed to be logical. And that's logical. They wish they was dead, but death flees from them, because you just can't go kill yourself. You know, you want to survive for your kids and for your family, and to fight another day, if that's it. So I think all these things, and many locusts, it said too, I'm doing this off the top of my head here. The locust is many, hasn't many missiles flown into Israel, and Iran right now has many missiles. So that just it, I think that makes a lot of sense. That it's representing the missiles in the war that's fixing to happen on Israel. And the sixth seal is the Gog and Magog war. So preparation before the Gog and Magog war, just like Bush did in Iraq, President Bush, is he shot all the missiles, blew up the radars, and started taking them out, and then they invaded. Same with the 200 million man army, the Gog and Magog. It's preemptive strike before the big war, before they go in on their motorcycles and their gliders and all the other stuff that they do, and they're getting ready now to do that. But Iran has a lot of missiles set aside to do this. So John explained it in his terminology that he could explain. Like when the missile took off, it's to him the loudest noise he ever heard was a chariot. And many chariots. He just couldn't imagine the noise that these things made, and that's the loudest noise that he heard rumbling by him was chariots, man-made chariots. He hears this stuff too. So, to me, it fits a missile. And in the comments, write to me why you don't think it is. Just don't write in there and say, no, you're wrong, it's demons. No, don't do that. Just be nice, and if it seems to fit, because John is relating it to what he saw. So I would appreciate comments. I love comments, because I'm just trying to give you what I believe and what I think. And we can find out. When the time comes, we will find out. So this is just food for thought.